interesting meeting. I'll tell you my story, and it's a very long story. It's going to take about an hour and a half. What happened was we had arranged, thanks to Mr. Zelinsky and other people, to have some very nice speakers. Well, one went to get a flu shot, and she ended up turning different color, and I had a hard time breathing, so she couldn't come. Her substitute had to go to another city to take care of another problem, so I left that off. Then I contacted John Tierney's office, and I said, well, there's a lady there that knows everything about everything. She says, that's wonderful, Charlie, but she had to go over and run the Lynn office today. I said, okay, that takes care of that. So then I called Ed back, and Ed tried another guy, but he was at a horse race, so he couldn't come. And as a result, it's going to be called today's Charlie Walsh Sings and Dances. Now, because I'm in charge of that, I have people I see at every table who are very competent in doing a lot of things. The one thing you can think of is, if you know a good joke, and you can tell it here, it can't be one of those jobs, you know, everybody will walk out the door. Think of a good one that you can tell and we'll have you come out. Or if you know a good story. We're also going to have some very serious material mentioned here. Did everybody get their newsletter? Yeah. Oh, good. Did you all read it? Yeah. Well, that's good, because I'm going to give a quiz on it. I'll take care of that part. Did John read his? No, John didn't read it, see? He was too worried about getting the donuts here.
That John?
You know, everybody know John?
Which
John, stand up and take a bow. John delivers me a food every meeting. By himself, no help. I always think about him, but I never seem to get out there to help him. Anyway, let's stand and salute the flag first. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's bow our heads and remember all of our members who have passed away, and also all of our women and men who are overseas, and any particular one that you want to remember in your own. Thank you. Be seated. I do have a few jokes here for you. Are you listening? Well, we have a 90-year-old man here that I have to prompt him once in a while to do something, but he seems to be doing all right. Although you're still dancing, right? Very good. He'd like to share his shingles with you, though. He's had shingles for 16 years, and he'd love to get rid of some of them. Isn't that true? Yeah. And he'd like to give it to me. But anyway, this joke came from a very lovely young lady who I think she's got her finger in her mouth, I'm not sure. But anyway, everyone seems to be in such a hurry to breed racism these days. A customer asked, in what aisle could I find the Polish sausage? The clerk asked, are you Polish? The guy, clearly offended, says, yes, I am. But let me ask you something. If I had asked for Italian sausage, would you ask me if I was Italian? Or if I had asked for German bratwurst, would you have asked me if I was German? Or if I asked for a kosher hot dog, would you ask me if I was Jewish? Or if I had asked for a taco, would you ask if I was Mexican? Or if I asked for some Irish whiskey, would you ask if I was Irish? The clerk says, no, I probably wouldn't. The guy says, because I asked for Polish sausage, why did you ask me if I'm Polish? The clerk replied, because you're in Home Depot. I thought that was sweet. Very good, Alice. This is my agenda. The next item, that's one for you, Fred. This is the joke of a handsome, debonair young man. A lawyer and a senior citizen are sitting next to each other on a long flight. The lawyer is thinking that seniors are so dumb they can get one over on them very easily. So the lawyer asks if the senior would like to play a fun game. The senior is tired. He just wants to take a nap. So he politely declines, and he tries to catch a few winks. The lawyer persists, saying, "This game is a lot of fun. I ask you a question, and if you don't know the answer, you pay me only $5. Then you ask me one, and if I don't know the answer, I will pay you $500. This catches the senior's attention, and to keep the lawyer quiet, he agreed to play the game. The lawyer asked the first question, what's the distance from the Earth to the moon? The senior doesn't say a word, reaches into his pocket, pulls out a $5 bill, and hands it to the lawyer. Now it's the senior's turn. He asks the lawyer, what goes up a hill with 3 legs and comes down with 4? The lawyer uses his laptop to search all references he can find on the internet. He sends emails to all his smart friends who know all the answers to everything, all to no avail. After an hour of searching, he finally gives up. He wakes the senior, hands him $500. The senior pockets the $500 and goes right back to sleep again. The lawyer is going nuts, not knowing the answer. He wakes the senior up and asks, well, so what does go up a hill with 3 days and come down with 4? The senior reaches into his pocket, hands the lawyer $5 and goes back to sleep. You know you're going to send this one on. You never mess with the senior. It was a little long. Now this one is going to help you out in your home. These things really work because I have the benefit of knowing Snoops checked it all out. Snoops. Amazing home remedy. Avoid cutting yourself and slicing vegetables by getting someone else to hold the vegetable. Avoid arguments with females about lifting the toilet seat by using the sink. The high blood pressure sufferer simply cut yourself and bleed for a few minutes. That reduces the pressure on the veins. Just remember to use a timer. A mousetrap placed on top of your alarm clock will prevent you from rolling over and going back to sleep after you hit the snooze button. That'll wake them up. If you have a bad cough, take a large dose of laxatives, then you'll be afraid to cough. You need only 2 tools in life, WD-40 and duct tape. If it doesn't move, it should, use the WD-40. If it shouldn't move, it does, use the duct tape. Now that solves a lot of problems for me. If you can't fix it with a hammer, you've got an electrical problem. A thought for the day. Some people are like slinkies. Not really good, but anything they bring a smile to your face when they push down the stairs. Some additional advice: never, under any circumstances, take a laxative and a sleeping pill on the same night. Remember, life is precious, enjoy it while you can. It's like a coin, you can spend it any way you wish, but you can only spend it once. Like today. An elderly man in North Carolina had owned a large farm for several years. He had a large pond in the back fixed up really nice, along with some picnic tables, horseshoe courts, and some apple and peach trees. The pond was properly shaped and fixed up for swimming when it was built. One evening, the old farmer decided to go down to the pond, as he hadn't been there for a while, and look it over. He grabbed a 5-gallon bucket to bring back some fruit. As he neared the pond, he heard voices shouting and laughing with glee. When he came closer, he realized it was a bunch of young, pretty, skinny-dipping women in the pond. He made the woman aware of his presence, and then they all went to the deep end of the pool to shield themselves. One of the women shouted to him, "We're not coming out until you leave." The old man frowned and replied, "I didn't come down here to watch you ladies swim naked. make you get out of the pool naked. Holding the bucket up, he said, "I'm here to feed the alligator." Moral of the story is, old men may move slow, but they still think fast. Now, as you know, when you received the newsletter, it was important that you read, especially the part about the state, in regard to the state health care. The thing about it is that the national has really been spending a lot of money and a lot of time trying to get the national legislature to move on different things. I mean, they haven't done anything practically all year long. Somehow these groups have to get together. I don't know when they will. But anyway, as a result of a lot of this reform, it's really helped a lot of people. And in my own case, it helped my son, my grandson, because he has epilepsy and couldn't get coverage. So he now has coverage, and because he's 26, he had coverage too. The other thing is that as they go along here, they're taking much better care of the adults. In the state, they've done much better, and they're trying to really make it so people can stay home instead of going to a nursing home. You know, I can't believe what it costs at a nursing home. You know, $13,000 a month is the average, and some people are paying $19,000. If you take out the insurance, which I had up till a few years ago, when I reached a certain age, they wanted me to rewrite it. But they wanted me to rewrite it because I was older at about 10 times the amount that I was paying before. So I looked at it this way. If I die first, my wife is in trouble. Not really, because she'll get the house, the cars, the other money, and she can live in a two-room place. Oh, I'm sorry, she can live in a two-room place, you know, we're on the LDR across from the Immaculate Conception, you know, she can do that. Well, as I said, I'm getting older, that's probably one of my problems. But in regard to myself, if my wife dies first, I have it made. I can do whatever I want. But that's only because I would still get my pension. And other people have the same problem, I think. Now, when I retired, I took my pension, the whole amount at one time, so that I could do what I wanted. And that's worked out fine for me. But for other people, it doesn't, especially women. So many women, their salary was nothing compared to men. And as a result, they're living really on their Social Security, which some people want to take away, which is crazy. I mean, it's the only program that has worked ever since Roosevelt. Without that, they'd be out in the street, there's no question about it. So that's one of the biggest things we're working on, is to make sure we maintain Social Security, the health care, Medicaid, and so forth. So many people who couldn't be covered before are now covered. I mean, you're talking 35 million people. And this is why we're spending so much time trying to make sure we keep what we have. If we don't, if we don't all work together, then we're going to be real difficult. Even the veterans are running into a problem now. There are so many of them. I was up there the other day checking. I had lost a hearing aid. And they decided they're going to change the type of hearing aid that I have. And there were 20 other guys waiting to have their ears tested between the ages of 93 and 67. And it's a real problem for them because there's so many veterans that, you know, need help. And some of them are living on the street, which should never happen in a country like this. It's unbelievable what's going on. But anyway, to get back from that, when you read the information, realize it's taking a lot of work to get it done. And if you look in this room today, we really don't have a show of all the people we should really have. We used to have 760 members, and now we're down to 342, is it, Mary Ann?
Yeah, if it's that.
342. Now, because of that, some of them can't come because they're too elderly now. Some can't come because they can't get around. They're in wheelchairs or other ways that they can't work out the dates to be here. So what we really have to do is get everybody working on that. You come from different cities and towns, and I would like you to try to help those people to realize that they've got to get together and help us to help them. Because if we don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. And I figured I better spell it out because in regards to our budget, I'm going to have Jim come up in a minute and talk about our budget. But I just want you to be aware that this is one of the biggest problems we have, is to make people get out there and talk about it and say, look, we have to all agree that we've got to take care of this problem for the elderly. Nobody else is going to care. Unfortunately, the young people today, I don't know where they stand on this kind of stuff. My own family, you know, they're well aware of it, but I'm sure you have relatives and friends and sons and daughters who think, well, everything is great. I'm making $100,000 a year, and tomorrow that could be gone. The way they changed the market, the way they changed the computer networks and so forth. Finally, we're going to have no computers. You're just going to have a little thing in your hand, and it's going to do everything. You're just going to talk into it, and it will pay the bill and run your car and whatever else. So people don't talk to each other like you people do. You know, they're all walking around with something here or something there, or, you know, and you try to talk to your kid. It drives me crazy when I see these people driving and then texting. I mean, try it and you'll see how quick you lose track of the road. But anyway, James, would you come up for a few minutes and help them out? Now, I hope he's not going to give us a story about doom and gloom.
Yeah, exactly what I'm going to do. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me? Now back? A little louder? How's that? So in other words, follow. First, Charlie said to me, could you come up and talk to about a couple of topics? So I think he just formed the Doom and Gloom committee, and I'm the committee chairman. Because everything I'm going to talk about is negative, unfortunately. So let's start off with membership. We had approximately 600 people back 2 or 3 years ago. We were one of either the first or the second largest chapter, I think, in the country, definitely in the state of Massachusetts. As of about a month ago, Charlie gave me the new number of 348. So over the last 4 or 5 years, our membership went from 600 plus down to 448. Now that 448 is paying members. Now there are a few that haven't paid, and they'll be taken care of down the road. One of the reasons the membership is so important is the dues. There's 2 things, now I'm going to talk budgets. There's 2 things that carry us through a year. Membership dues and trips. Trips, the net income the last couple of years is almost zero. I have budgeted this year for zero income from trips. We have an income of around $6,000, $7,000, various things. But most of that you can't use to run the chapel. 25 to 26 to 2,700 of that goes to the Christmas lunch. That's money comes in, it's part of the 7,000. It goes right back out to dentist or wherever we have that lunch. The June installation brings in about $1,800. That goes straight out. It's got nothing to do with running the day-to-day operation of the chapel. So income, we have about $7,000. Our expenses to run this is $9,000. That is deficit budgeting. We start off in day one at least a minimum of $2,000 in the hole. Now, if we could get everyone to pay their membership, and if we could get back to getting trip commissions, we could pull this budget back in where we could have some dollars. We used to have $10,000 to $12,000 balance. We now have a balance of somewhere between $2,500 and $3,200. And that's gone down as much as $2,300. You can't run an organization on $2,000. Believe me. What I'd like you to consider is if you have some friends that would like to come. We used to have an average of about 125 people to the monthly meetings. It went down to about 80. Look around you today. How many's here? Okay? I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, everything just fell off a cliff. Now people say, well, gee, we don't like to listen to speakers. We like the entertainment. Of course we do. We love entertainment, okay? Entertainment has gone from $200 to $300 per performance to $600, $700, and $800. You can't afford that. We may have someone come in for entertainment once or twice during the 10-month period. The rest of them is going to be speakers. One of the reasons there are chapters is because ARP wants you to bring in speakers to inform you on various subjects that pertain to our age group, 50 plus, okay? So that's why we're going to start off today with speakers, but you ended up with Charlie and Jim, the bocce twins, okay? Because people got other problems that could come. So that's the budget problem. We're running it as a deficit. And we ran as a deficit last year and the year before and the year before that. The only reason we're still in play is because we started off with about a $12,000 balance. And we're eating it the last 3 years. By the end of this year, if we don't bring in excuse me, additional income, I'll guarantee you that balance will be zero. Especially if we brought in entertainment twice this year. We used to have a $2,500 entertainment budget. For this coming year, it's $500. You don't get much for that. So, if you had someone, a friend, that you want to bring in or would like to come in, please help us. Bring in some people. The third thing is trips. I'd like to try to start that up again. We have a person that's willing to do the work. Right, Mary?
Nobody calls.
No, Mary, we're going to try to start it, okay? The first thing, 3 years ago, I took a survey of people that wanted to suggest day trips and overnight trips. I still have that list. What I'd like to ask you people to do is to write down what you would like to see for trips. Make them realistic, whether it be day or overnight, or multiple nights. We'd like to start a survey and see if we can start this up. Mary, is it right that we either get...
No, right here.
Okay.
I have comments.
Okay, good. We used to get 5 or 10% commission on all the dollars that we brought in for trips. That was a key chunk of money. That was the major piece of the monies coming in to run this organization. Ms. Chapman. The second was the membership dues. Those were the two key elements. One is dwindled down to half, and the other is zero. So we'd like to reestablish that, membership and trips. Because that's where a lot of the commission money comes in that helps us out dealing. Okay? That's my doom and gloom story. So think about it. If you have some ideas, write it down, get it to me, get it to Mary. You just volunteered to get Mary. Is that okay? Thank you. And we'll see what we can do, because we have to bring in some dollars into this organization. Go to it. No,
Just talk loud.
talk loud.
Talk loud. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. All right. What Jim said is correct. We do need some money. But you have to realize, when I go to these companies, they seem to be having the same trips that we have every year. I mean, in order for me to say I want to go to a Gunquit or whatever, I have to guarantee these people at least 40 or maybe 30 or 40 people on a bus trip. And I have to have them. I cannot say I want to go to Quincy Gorge or I want to go to wherever, because they don't run that trip, but we have to have the people to do it. Now, I had some nice, what I thought was nice trips. I wish we had gone. I had one person call me for one trip. The other was 3, maybe 6. And I've also had a woman call me, since I've been doing the trips, she wants to go to Atlantic City and go see the Rockettes. I know a lot of you have seen the Rockettes because I've been there. And I know that she likes to go. There's 6 of them that want to go. She just called me a couple of weeks ago to find out if we're going. But I have to have participation on these trips. I know that they've gone up, which is something that everything else has gone up. But, I mean, you know, I can't run a trip, or I can't worry about getting someone to go on the trips. I can't call everybody. I have things I do myself, and I have to have your participation in order to do it. Like I say, I can get some information from these companies, but if I don't get it, people, I know that the Council on Aging, she said she goes with Beverly. She's joined with Beverly. They were going to join with us, but that fell through. And, you know, what they do is Beverly has 25 seats or 20 seats. Salem has 20 or 25 seats, depends on the size of the bus. But I know people can't go on a lot of trips, and some walking and whatever. I wanted to go to Mount Rushmore and go around that way, but there was nothing. I know Agnes has run trips, and people wanted to go to a baseball game. 2 or 3 people went on the baseball game trip. But that was because they didn't have to go on a bus. The company could put them with other people. If you have a bus trip, you have to have at least 30 or 40 people in order to run and in order to get a commission. I did have a few trips. We had like 26 or 28 people. All we got was whatever the trip cost. We got a free trip. I did not take that free trip. I told them to send it over to the chapter. I don't want a free trip. Shirley and Agnes never had free trips, and I don't want one either. I'm willing to pay for the trip. But if you don't want to go, there's no trips. Thank you. I can just say that.
Now that's taken care of and everybody's happy. Fred reminded me that in regards to the newsletter, you know, show it to other people and also tell them to watch the local TVs. Especially Danvers has it, Peabody has it. Beverly, for some reason or other, we have a little problem with it. But there are other places that are willing to do it. So it runs in Salem two different days a week. And thanks to our photographic crew here, they get it scheduled into there so it's always available. Plus you can go to YouTube and read it. There's a lot of things going on that if you're computer-wise, you can pick up stuff too. Especially if you get the AARP.com or .org. Their monthly, weekly, really, information is full of stuff. For instance, I have one here where it shows you all of the different things that they do for people. While I'm talking about that, we also have a luncheon menu. We are going to go to Damersburg Yacht Club for Christmas. And it's going to be on the 13th. And we were not going to go there, and they called us. And they said, Mr. Walsh, we would love to have your group come to our place again. I said, well, you know, money is a factor. So he says, look, we'll guarantee you the money will be the same as last year, which is really good because the prices have risen quite a bit. So it's going to be $25, and these are, I'll give you the selections we had. The salad would be either a tossed salad or a Caesar salad. Most everybody takes the tossed salad. We're limited to 2 entries in regard to the main meal. It could be boneless breast of chicken, chicken Davenport, roast top serving of beef thinly sliced, seafood trio with scallops, shrimp, scrod, cracker crumb topping, fresh Boston scrod, seasoned cracker topping. We serve with roasted potatoes or mashed potatoes, and the chef's fresh vegetables. Desserts could be the chocolate mousse, ice cream parfait, apple cobbler, or chocolate cake. It'll be served with warm dinner rolls and whole grain bread, coffee, and tea, and they are including, free to us, cheese spread with assorted crackers to make it easier for us to pay. So, after conversing with people, it seems as though most people like chicken Davenport, the boneless fried chicken breast with honey and bacon, and the seafood trio, which is scallops, shrimp, and scrod with cracker crumb topping. And some people complained about roasted potatoes that they weren't really soft enough. So I don't know if you want to go with mashed potatoes or roasted. Which do you prefer, mashed? Put your hand up if you like mashed potatoes. How many like roasted potatoes? That's about half and half. You never make anything easy. Well, I'll talk to the guy and see if we can work something out. Is everybody happy with chocolate mousse? Okay. How about chicken Davenport? You like the chicken Davenport? I've tried, that was good. And the seafood trio was excellent. I had that too. And let's see. The rolls, we don't have a choice. They have nice warm rolls. He promised me they wouldn't be more than a year old. And coffee and tea. And usually, yes, Fred?
Caesar or regular?
What's that?
Caesar or regular salad?
I like the tossed salad. You want tossed salad or Caesar salad? How many want Caesar salad? How many want tossed salad? Caesar salad one. Very good. I'm glad you spoke up. All right, so I'll pass that on, and we should start selling the tickets pretty soon. Is that right?
How much is that?
It's $25 per person. So if you start saving now, well, if you're in my case, I just found out today that I didn't pay my dues for last year. So when I went up to pay my dues, Mr. Rady said, Charles, you owe me $40. I said, I owe you $40? He says, yes, you haven't paid last year's and this year. I said, oh my God, I'm sorry. He says, that doesn't cut it. Give me the 40 bucks. So I gave him the $40, and then I went over to buy my tickets over there, and I had $2 left. So presently in my wallet, I have 0. So I may be out on the street, bumming for food. All right.
We'll start selling the tickets next month, and we will have assigned seating. So I'll have the table arrangement so that people, when they sign up, can reserve a table. Okay?
She is amazing. She just got out of the hospital when? Tony?
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago? And she's unbelievable. Nothing stops her. All right.
It's kind of a long story, but I think all of us will appreciate what I have to
Well, as
share.
long as we don't fall asleep.
Okay,
We all
listen,
sit with you.
these are things our mother taught us. My mother taught me to appreciate the job well done. If you're going to kill each other, do it outside. I just finished cleaning. My mother taught me religion. You better pray that will come out of the carpet. My mother taught me about time travel. If you don't straighten up, I'm going to knock you into the middle of next week. My mother taught me logic because I said so. That's why. My mother taught me more logic. If you fall out of the swing and break your neck, you're not going to the store with me. My mother taught me foresight. Make sure you wear clean underwear in case you're in an accident. My mother taught me irony. Keep crying, and I'm going to give you something to cry about. My mother taught me about the science of osmosis. Shut your mouth and eat your supper. My mother taught me about contortionism. If you look at that dirt, will you look at that dirt on the back of your neck? My mother taught me about stamina. You'll sit there until all the spinach is gone. My mother taught me about weather. That room of yours looks like a tornado had gone through it. My mother taught me about anticipation. Just wait till we get home. My mother taught me about receiving. You are going to get it. My mother taught me medical science. If you don't stop crossing your eyes, they're going to say that way. My mother taught me ESP. These letters are so small, I'm having a little trouble reading them. Put your sweater on, and don't you think I know when you're cold? My mother taught me humor. When that lawnmower cuts off your toes, don't come running to me. My mother taught me how to become an adult. If you don't eat your vegetables, you'll never grow up. My mother taught me genetics. You're just like your father. My mother taught me about my roots. Shut the door behind you. Do you think you were born in a barn? My mother taught me wisdom. When you get to be my age, you'll understand. And my favorite, my mother taught me about justice. One day you'll have kids, and I hope they turn out just like you. And those things that
Oh,
we said at one time.
You have a story now.
It's short, but
Is it true? How do you know?
because I said so.
She said so. Many years ago, well, my dad was alive, he's gone 3 years, so it's a long time ago. Hello? Anyway, my dad came home for lunch one day and he said to me, would you call down to the junk shop down on Dorchester? I lived in Dorchester at the time. You call the junkyard down there and see if they'll buy this old used body. He had this big old truck. So I said, I don't know the number. He said, well, call. You know, they'll tell you. So anyhow, I called information and they gave me a number. They dialed. And when the girl answered, I really didn't get what she said. But anyhow, she says, well, can I help you? And I says, yeah. I says, could you tell me if you buy old used bodies?
Oh, you are funny.
She said, I hardly think so, dear. This is a doctor's office.
Just a minute, ladies.
He wanted to know his mother better, so yeah, says, buddy, how can I get the noise? When she throw the
You
keys,
gotta hold up your mouth.
when she throws the keys on the table and enter a license, read the license. So the next day says to her mother, middle name, was Peter. You're 33 years old, you weigh 122 pounds, and I know why Dad left. She says, what? He says, I know why Dad left. Why? You got an F in sex.
Just reminded me, next month, we're having the singing state trooper. He's giving us a good deal. And he is good, I understand from everybody that's heard him before. So he's one of the cops, so that's a good bit of entertainment. Yeah. And would you like to say something, young man?
I got a good Blondie joke. Blondie comes home and Dagwood's laying down as always. And Blondie says, I got bad news, honey. And he says, whoa, that's no way to begin a sentence. He says, you're right, all righty, sorry. Good news, much better. What's the good news, sweetheart? The airbag in your car worked perfectly.
This is Jay Leno. I heard it on Jay Leno's show.
Speak up.
This is a Jay Leno's joke. I heard it on Jay Leno's. All right. Now, you notice there's a lot of football players are in trouble. Hernandez and other people, all football players. So the jail decided to have a football team in jail. And guess who coach. Guess who the coach is? Rolling Puncher. Whitey.
The lady who backed into the plane.
That's the lady who's back into the plane. How the friggin' plane?
Disaster.
Just